I'm just doing this video to, voice out my feelings about racist abuse that the England players have received in the last couple of days. One of the things I wanted to raise is we need to think about racism in a way that what are we doing to eradicate racism from the very, very grassroots? And when I mean grassroots, from the home, from the community, from nurseries, from schools, environment, you know, are you allowing black and ethnic minorities? Are you allowing them make mistakes? You need to think about it. Because if you're going to let somebody, and I've had incidences, I can use myself as an example in this situation. I've had incidences where I am not allowed to make a mistake. I am not allowed to be critical. I'm a very critical person by nature. This is one of the reasons why I always do a video when there's something going on. Black Lives Matter, anything at all. I would come out and speak. I'll do a little video. It doesn't matter if it goes viral, but if it doesn't go viral, but one person will get some knowledge from these videos. Are you allowing your black and ethnic minority staff members, students make mistakes? Do you punish a black and ethnic minority student for speaking up? Because I've been a victim where I've spoken up against a lecturer, method of delivery, marking, grades. I've questioned grades and I've been punished because of that. I've been in a situation whereby I was working as a night staff and I've questioned the rota, I've questioned some things, and because I've opened my mouth to talk, I've been, I've had an investigation on me for falling asleep at work. Whereas I was working side by side with somebody who's been in the same job for 30 years, who will sleep on a shift every night. 30 years. Oh, she's white British. But she's been in that job 30 years. And I've just come back from a sick leave. And I was summoned for drifting away. And I mean drifting away, like nodding my head like this on my night shift. So we need to think about these things. Are you allowing your black and ethnic minority? Because this is the behavior. This is what's happened with the England footballers. They've made a mistake and they are criticized and they are being crucified for their mistakes. Because to the world, it's a mistake. Garrett, what's his name now? The coach, he made a mistake himself for actually using 3 young players, putting them in the front line without actually considering, because he should have known that they will be exposed to abuse if he did that. Is anybody actually criticizing him for that? I know Gary Lineker, some people have come out to criticize him, but the level of abuse that he's getting doesn't even correlate to the abuse that the 3 young black players are getting. You see where this thing is coming from? It's a very, very psychological approach. We can call it a frontline manipulation, a situation whereby you put the black and ethnic minority people in the front line. If they succeed and they do well, if they exceed your expectation, you take the glory. If they don't succeed, they are blamed for the mistake. They are crucified for the mistakes, not necessarily by you, but you've put them on that limelight. You've exposed them to that abuse. There is a shift. It's a very, very psychological approach. And I call it frontline manipulation, because if you think about what's happened in COVID as well, about lots of black and ethnic minority staff members being put at the front line, many of them losing their lives. Let's look at it from this approach. Back to making mistakes. Are we allowing our black and ethnic minority individuals within the community, are we letting them make mistakes? Because when you make a mistake, you get crucified straight away. And this is what the fans are doing. They're replicating the behaviors they see in the workplace. A manager is you're so quick to discipline a black and ethnic minority staff for doing this or doing that. Whereas you have a white person who's done that and done the same thing or at the same level, still in the same job. Because I'm a witness. Look at it again from grades. You look at it from university grades. You look at somebody's piece of work, but because they're ethnic, and don't tell me that thing about anonymous marking, because it's bullshit. Anonymous marking is bullshit. I think it was actually created to actually discriminate against certain people. So this is me going into another thing completely. I'm in the academic world, but I have witnessed a lot of abuse within the academic world myself. I've had my work questioned when I know people cannot even perform at my level, and they pass their work. Sometimes I look at their work, I proofread their work before I hand mine in. I've had a chance to proofread their work, or I've had a chance to proofread their work after I've handed mine in. And I'm thinking, what have you written? But they pass, but I don't pass. Are we letting our Black and ethnic minority staff or individuals make mistakes? Because this is what has happened. These young men are being crucified because the ball hasn't gone into the net. Should they have won? Should all the 3 goals and balls had gone into the net? Well, that would be a completely different scenario. We would hear all sorts, or somebody's had a fantastic coaching career, it's done well, and and don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Gareth Southgate. I absolutely love him. I think he's one of the most humble and decent men that you can think of. I remember watching him in Middlesbrough and the humiliation he went through playing for Middlesbrough, when they were going down to the relegation. He was scoring goals, but it wasn't enough. I remember that period. I have flashback. Are we letting our Black and ethnic minority staff, are we letting them make mistakes? Are we giving them a chance? We need to treat people fairly. And how do you treat people fairly? If Emily makes a mistake and Abdul makes the same mistake, if you're going to forgive Emily, you need to be forgiving Abdul as well. If you're going to pull Emily up, then you need to be pulling Abdul as well. You cannot forgive Emily's mistakes within the workplace and then penalize Abdul for the same thing. That's discrimination. That's being unfair and biased. So these are the things that we need to start thinking about. This is the only way. And many people see these behaviors and they keep mute. I just want to say thank you to all those that speak up against racism, that genuinely speak up against discrimination and racism. I've seen people within the workplace that will say, no, Temi, this is not acceptable. I'm not having you being treated like this. No way. I just want to say that, you're leaving a legacy that you yourself will be proud of in the next generation, in the next couple of years, whatever. You are leaving a legacy. Because I think for me, one of the worst things that can happen is to witness injustice and do nothing about it. I mean, if I saw injustice, I will speak up straight away. And this is why people like us, we always get into trouble. I always get into trouble. This video could land me into trouble. I always get into trouble because I will see something and say, no, we can't do it this way. We need to question it this way. We need to do that. And the next thing, I'm being punished because I've raised an issue. So because I've questioned the rota and I've said, we're not having this rota. This is not fair. You can't do this to staff members. I get pulled up because I was nodding at work. Whereas you've got staff members who are falling asleep on the same shift, getting away with it, but they are treated nicely because they are white British. We need to think about how we treat people. And for me, I think that is where we can begin to share good practice and at the same time eradicate racism. Yes, everybody needs to be conscious about how everyone around them is being treated. If it's not fair, raise it. Say something. Don't just sit there. Don't just sit there and keep quiet and say, oh, it's okay because she's Black and ethnic minority. Yeah, well, yeah, she shouldn't be doing that. She shouldn't be. But you did that yesterday. You came late yesterday. Well, I shouldn't come late to work. Fair enough. But you were late yesterday. Did you get the same hammering that I'm getting? Have you been told off? Like I'm being told off. We need to be fair. We really, really need to be fair.